everyone, we're here today for another episode of Brain Cherries, a podcast where we discuss interesting topics and ideas around innovation, technology, and entrepreneurship.
Today we talk about some of our favorite apps that help us be more productive in our daily routine. So the first app that I wanted to talk to you guys about is called Splitwise. It's a company that makes it easy to split bills with friends and family. Basically, you can upload all your expenses. You can do it with a single person, or you can create groups. You can split expenses with your friends, and then automatically the app would recalculate how much you owe to that specific person or to that specific group. I actually find it very nice to use because it really takes it out of my mind, and so I can just focus on paying the person back. I think it's very easy for people to forget about these things, and there is also a lot of guilt associated with that. And so this app really tries to solve this problem, trying to make sure that people pay their bills back, and also they don't need to feel guilty anymore if they have forgotten about it. While I was doing some research on this app, I actually found some very interesting facts. So first of all, the company was founded in 2013. It has between 1 and 10 employees, and it raised in total about 10 million, so it's grown quite a lot. One very interesting thing that I found about this app is that they've created this fairness calculator that basically tells you what is the fair amount that you have to pay if you're splitting a certain expense. Just to give you an example, you can go on their website and you can calculate what is the fair amount that you have to pay for your room if you're splitting the rent with someone else. And so you go there and you can input things like how big is the room you're renting, whether it has good windows, bigger wardrobe compared to the other person, whether it has an ensuite bathroom and things like that. And then basically the algorithm will tell you what is the fair price that you will need to pay for that rent, which I found that is incredibly cool. This app is free to use, and the way the company makes money is thanks to advertising. And then the second source of income is a paid subscription through Splitwise Pro. A third way that they also earn money is that they allow to transfer payments inside the app. So, similar to other payments app, if you want to actually pay the person through the app, you can do it via PayPal or debit card, and they may take a small transaction fee out of that transaction. So I tend to be very forgetful about when I have to pay a person back. So this made it so much easier to organize my travels, my rent, food bills, and things like that with my friends and flatmates. So I'd really recommend that.
So I wanted to start with an app called Stockcard. Also, I use on a daily basis. It was a huge discovery, and I think that it's quite funny because it's the first time that my mom introduces me to something tech-related and not the other way around. So she was actually the first one finding out about this app a few years ago. I don't even know where she heard about it, but she said, yeah, why don't you try it out? And it's actually amazing. So what Stockcard does is it allows you to save your loyalty cards and also coupons on your smartphone. Whenever you have a loyalty card, from supermarkets or from other kinds of shops, you can just kind of take a picture, like you pass over with your phone on where the card has the barcode basically, and the app automatically recognizes your account number, let's say, or your customer number, whatever information that is on the card. Basically, you have a unique place where all the cards are. And the other interesting thing is that there is no need for retailers to explicitly participate, because there's actually no difference between the actual card and the digitized version of it. It's really straightforward, because it means that for a retailer, there's no downside of people using this app, and there's no difference whatsoever. Also, for what concerns, for example, as we all know, the data that the retailer stores whenever we use the card, it really makes no difference whether you present the card in, let's say, in paper, or you present the physical plastic card, or you present the digital version via this app. I mean, I think it's really cool also because it means you can upload cards whose retailers don't participate to the program. I'll give you a really straightforward example of what happens when you open the app for the first time. Basically, there are some categories, so like supermarkets, maybe pharmacies, retail shops, cosmetics shops, and you can either go through the categories and see which retailers actually participate to the app. And I guess retailers have some kind of benefit in participating, because, for example, if they have specific promotions, they send the promotions to the app, let's say. And so whenever I use the app, I can see the promotions that each of the retailers is doing. So it's like advertising for them, because it means everyone who uses the app can see which kind of promotions they are having at that specific point in time. And so retailers have, I think, benefits in doing this, but even if maybe they didn't think about participating, it doesn't mean that the customer cannot upload that specific card. Let's say we create a flower shop tomorrow. It's called Erika and Lucrezia, but we don't know about Stocard, so our loyalty card does not exist. This means that if I go into the flowers category of the app and I look for Erika and Lucrezia shop, I won't find it. But if I have a card, I can still scan it, and the app is still gonna recognize the digits or whatever information is in the barcode. And then I won't have the image with the logo of the shop, but nevertheless, I still have my card that works just as well as any other. So, I don't know, I think it's really genius, to be honest. I don't know how many times it happened to you. It happened to me so many times that
you just can never find it, right? It's one of those things where you need to have like a specific wallet just for all your loyalty cards.
Exactly.
And then when you need it, you can never find it.
And even if you do have a special wallet for it, it always happens that you either forget it, you weren't planning to go to that shop, like maybe you just passed by and you're like, oh, like it would be nice to buy something, but you don't necessarily have the card's wallet, let's say, with you. I think for the customer, it's just a benefit. I mean, of course, we could open the discussion about what do they do with the data, like if you're super concerned about they know how many times I shopped at this shop, what kind of things I buy, how much I spend. But besides for this, everything else is just a benefit for you. It's just a way to have discounts and collect your points by having all the cards already.
So I guess the worst that you get is probably some push notifications on like some new promotion that the shops have made. But then other than that, is the app free?
Yeah, the app is absolutely free, and I'm not sure whether retailers pay something to be part of the program. Probably not. There might be, though, some additional features that they might pay for, because I think the majority of these apps that are free get the money via advertising. So maybe if one of the retailers want to advertise their shops, that they might have to pay. And when it comes to notifications, actually, you can turn them off. So, for example, I don't have any notifications. So, like, if I open it, I might see on the page of the retailer that there's a promotion, but I never get any notifications from them because you can always switch it off. And yeah, so I didn't think it would work in the UK, so now I just recently moved back to London, and I had a look before I moved here, but I didn't see any of the most common, let's say, supermarkets, for example. But I was wrong. It actually works in the UK as well.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, and so the markets that they mainly target are the UK, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Italy, and also Australia. They're trying to compete to become like the main app that does this in these target markets. So the founders were 3 students from a university in Germany. It was founded in 2011, and before they even graduated from university, the app went all the way to having 400,000 downloads.
Wow.
Of course, after this, they were able to benefit from a few rounds of funding, and overall they raised about 30 million, which is quite a lot. The app now has 50 million users. I think it's quite good. For example, now, like, the number of downloads has grown a lot more. It keeps on growing more and more. So in the last 30 days, according to Apptopia, that is like a website that tracks these data, the app has been downloaded around 680,000 times.
It's a lot.
It's a pretty big success, and it would have been exciting if I was able to found something like this at university and see it growing so fast and so nicely.
Yeah, let me talk about my next favorite one, and this is one that I really, really enjoyed, and I think it's revolutionary in the space. So, as you know, I'm pretty passionate about graphic design, and it's something I've done throughout my entire life since I was, probably 12. and I was building banners for my blogs on MySpace, things like that. So unfortunately, this app did not exist at the time. So it's called Canva, and it was founded in 2012. It's a graphic design platform that allows users to create social media graphics, presentation, posters, logo, basically anything you could find that is, even remotely related to graphic design. What I find it's really, really cool, and it's also basically the purpose of why it was founded, is that it makes graphic design accessible for everyone. Traditionally, graphic design, in order to be able to do a poster or a banner, you needed to know programs like InDesign or Photoshop that tend to be pretty complicated and so accessible to only a few people, and also not free, actually quite expensive. And so it was only like the realm of a very few people. But what Canva does is that it really makes it accessible for everyone. So anyone, small businesses, individuals can create graphics for their website, their personal project, their Instagram account for free through this platform. It was founded, an Australian company, and it was funded by a couple of people that studied at the University of Western Australia. Initially, it started as an idea to design yearbooks, and actually the first kind of company that was created out of this fund was called Fusion Books, and it's now a good tech company that focuses just on that. But then, as a second idea that expanded from this initial concept, Canva was created. What you can do with Canva is that when you enter, you can choose from ideally professionally designed templates, or you can completely start from scratch and create your own template. In terms of how basically they do business, they have a free service, which is, by the way, also the one we use to create the logo of our podcast and all the branding for our podcast. Then they also have a paid subscription program that is Canva Pro, and that is more designed for, real businesses that want more feature in terms of like sharing projects and creating designs in teams. The other thing that you may have to pay is that they have in-app payments. So if you want to, for example, to have kind of paid templates or paid images, then that's also something you would pay on top of your subscription. One thing that they have done actually recently, this app, is they purchased two companies that do stock photography, Pixabay and Pexels. And the reason why they do that is that, of course, a big part of graphic design is also pictures, so photographs. And normally if you have to pay a photographer to take even pictures that you can use for your website, like landscape picture or product picture, it's pretty expensive. And so stock photography is by purchasing these two companies, they can offer now a wide variety of pictures and photography on their app that can be used for your design. I found this super useful. So this Canva, I've used it really for many, many things. And what I think they do really, really well is that they stay up to date with all the social media. So one thing they do is that say you want to create a template for, Instagram, like stories versus Instagram, like a post versus a LinkedIn banner, etc. They actually tell you what are the dimensions that are optimized for that social media. So you don't need to basically go and create different versions for that, but they tell you exactly, okay, these are the dimensions you need if you want to create a LinkedIn banner. So they really optimize this for that social media. And then something that I recently discovered on the app that they have just released is the ability to create GIFs and then short videos through that. So they're really expanding to really everything that you may want to release in terms of content. I wonder whether maybe they're gonna do into like video editing in the future. I think they may be interested in that, but yeah, I found it's super cool and really made design accessible for everyone.
I'm so happy that you decided to talk about this app, because I am a huge fan of the main founder of this company. I think she was the one having the main idea, and she was only, I believe, 22 when she had the idea, or, well, when she pitched it. Her name is Melanie Perkins, and she's, as you said, she's from Australia, and also the other co-founder is from Australia. And it's crazy because, 22-year-old, she was so young when she had this idea. She went all the way from Australia to Silicon Valley, basically for a meeting with a very famous technology investor. His name is Bill Tai. So I can only imagine how nervous she should have been when she pitched the idea. Then, they did great ever since. I think she is 32, I believe, more or less. And the company is valued at $1 billion. So, I mean, it's quite amazing. As you said, it's so useful. We both use it for the Brain Cherries podcast and also for other things. But they're innovative and they keep on being innovative because, as you mentioned, they keep adding new features. So, yeah, it's a really, really useful app. But I like it even more because I know that there is such a strong woman behind it. So the next one is an app called Treatwell. And I have a funny story behind this app as well, because I was, again, really sure that I wouldn't have been able to use it in London. Because, again, I would use it a lot in Milan, in Italy in general, but let's say in Milan because that's where I was living. And when back in Milan, before I moved here, I was looking if there were some places in London as well where I could use it, but I didn't seem to find them. And now I discovered, while preparing this podcast, that the company was actually, or the app was actually founded in London. So I'm quite sure I will be able to use it in London. You probably, if you're in London, you've seen quite a few advertisements around. I think there are a few banners.
I was bombarded by their advertising in the tube. And I think the tube, by the way, side note, but tube advertising, I think is one of the most effective way to advertise companies because you have to stare at that. You're forced to stare at that for like at least a couple of stops. So I may definitely consider tube advertising as like a good investment for my future company.
Absolutely.
Close the side note.
I totally agree with you. So what do? Basically, they let you book through their platform any kind of beauty treatment. So mainly if you want to have a haircut, anything that has to do with a hairdresser, if you need a manicure, pedicure, a massage. And it might sound really girly, but it's not really. So the founder is actually a guy. His name is Lapo Champollion. I hope that I pronounced the name correctly, but probably not. But yeah, so like he was saying how he came up with the idea, and basically he had some probably back pains, and so he was looking to book a massage, and he was having a hard time do that, and so basically he was like, well, maybe I can help out in some way. And so, sometimes it's funny that we tend to categorize certain sectors as being really girly or really manly, whereas I think the lines are really, really blurry as in this case. So yeah, like it was born then in London. It was founded in 2008. It was him, Lapo, and a group of developers. And there was actually another founder that though left really early. Now I think there are around 500 people that work throughout Europe, and they have around 20,000 local partners. Because of course, like in this case, it's kind of like the opposite than Stocard that we talked about. With Stocard, you don't really need to have partnerships, whereas in Treatwell, you absolutely have to have partnerships because those shops, these beauty shops, have of course to become partners so that they can, state their availability through the app. I guess there's a lot of value added also for these local businesses since so many of them decided to cooperate with Treatwell. And it was interesting because I was reading this interview that they had with Lapo, one of the founders, and he was pointing out that more than 50% of the bookings actually happen when the shop is closed. And 20% are made within 3 hours of the appointment time. So 3 hours before you want to go there, you book. And this is crazy because if you think about how these salons traditionally work, you can only book if they're open, of course, because if they're closed, then you try to call, you don't reach anyone, or, well, they're closed, so you can't go there physically and book. And the other thing is that, and it's the reason why I started using it, is that sometimes you might just find out that some other appointment got cancelled, like some other of the things that you had to do during the day was cancelled, and so now you have a spare hour, 2 spare hours, and you need to have a haircut, or you want to have your nails done, or you're just so stressed you want a massage, but you just figured out that you have free time now. And it happened to me so many times that like the salon, my beauty salon, the one where I used to go, I would never be able to book with such small time before I would actually go and get my treatment.
Also, I guess you have maybe like a last minute meeting or an important appointment, and you want to present yourself well, and then
absolutely
you cannot book. Yeah, in this case you don't need to book in advance, and so it's perfect, I think.
No, absolutely. And also another thing that I personally found really helpful is that if I'm in different areas of the city, like it happened once exactly this. I was at a conference that was the other side of the city, and then at that conference I found out that the next day I had to go into a meeting, and so I wanted my nails to be, okay, but I didn't know that area, so I had no idea whether there were salons, how they would look like. And so it was perfect for me because when the conference finished, I opened my app and I saw where I was, which kind of salons were around me. You always have a picture or more than one picture of the salon. You have feedbacks from users who have visited it. So you kind of, even if you don't know the salon, most of the times you kind of can get an idea of how it looks like, how the people who work there are. And so this is really, really useful. Yeah, so last minute booking and booking 24/7 is absolutely really, really huge benefit, I think. And also a way in which partner salons use it that is also really helpful for the customer is that they tend to offer huge discounts. I think mainly when they have some hours in which they know very few people visit. And this is really smart because it's a win-win case, like the shop is able to get some money because they can cover those, let's say, dead hours or hours in which they don't really have many clients. And on the other hand, if though you are a person that does have time in that specific slot, you can benefit from a discount. So it's really a win-win, and I really, really like the idea.
Very cool. Actually, it just made me think what you said at the beginning regarding the fact that sometimes it's not always true that if you have a company in the beauty business or in the fashion business, it's a female founder. I think it's a great misconception. I was actually listening to a podcast the other day from Shopify where they interview just people that have e-commerce on their platform, and they were interviewing this guy. He's a Canadian entrepreneur that founded. It's called Doe Lashes. And it's a company that creates fake lashes. And I was really surprised. I'm like, oh, it's a guy that did that. But I think it's just more of a misconception that we have. But in the end, if you're an entrepreneur and you find a market that is untapped, where you think you can do better than what's already available, and you are solving someone's problem, well, does it really matter that you're a guy or a girl? As long as you understand the product and the problem well, you can, it doesn't really matter what sex you are. So I found it really interesting, and I think it really reminds us that, we really need to overcome some of these misconceptions when we're talking business. It's really about solving a problem and knowing a product. Yeah, so the last app is actually one of the most recent that I've discovered. I discovered it this year, and the reason why I discovered is that I really like to binge watch YouTube videos. So every single person that I was following on YouTube was sponsored by Skillshare. That is the app I'm going to talk about. So, after I heard about them like 20 times, I'm like, oh, now I really need to go check them out. And I fell in love with it. So Skillshare is a marketplace platform for online classes. So it puts together teachers that are experts in their field with students. And what's special about this platform is, I think, two things. So first, the type of courses are quite niche, and they're mainly focused on creative arts, design, entrepreneurship, lifestyle, technology. And then the second thing is that apparently what the students that are on the platform, what they prefer is really very short, bite-sized content. Most of the classes are between 25 minutes and 1 hour. So it's very different from other e-learning platform where maybe a course is like 7 weeks long. So these are really, really focused classes. And also something that they have done really early is that, first of all, in the beginning, the company was actually in-person classes, but they quickly pivoted their model and started to go through e-learning classes. But something they did really well, I believe, is that they actually brought real experts on the platform. So you may have someone like Seth Godin teaching you a course on marketing, or Gary Vaynerchuk teaching you a course on like content marketing. So really experts on their platform, and that's how they really attracted people on there, because these people brought their students with them. Anyone that was fan of their work, fan of their businesses, wanted to learn their secrets, and so that's how they started acquiring students on the platform. And then throughout the company history, they've done multiple series of funding. They've raised $3 million in Series A funding in 2013. They were funded in 2011, and then they raised other funding of like 4.5 million. Reaching basically a total funding of 10 million, which is pretty big company. I guess not as big as the other ones you mentioned, but is a pretty big company. Lately, what they've done that I also found quite cool is that they've started producing their own content, which if you think about is very similar to what Netflix has done. So they started as, a marketplace where you match students with teachers, but then eventually it really makes a lot of sense to start producing your own content. And so they launched Skillshare Originals. There are a series of videos that they curate, really, really high quality classes on specific topics. They are produced by the Skillshare in-house team. Then something that I also found interesting when I was researching how they really differentiate is that also their Refer a Friend program is really, really popular and really ensures that friends of friends with a desire to learn topics that are similar get on the platform. Just in general, I personally started using it this year. This is a paid service. But again, just go on YouTube and you will find some influencer that gives you like 2 months discount on this. And what I found really cool is that you can learn like anything really on the platform. I can just tell you what courses I've personally taken, and how to shoot videos with your iPhone, how to cure plants, like literally plant caring and housekeeping, how to illustrate on Procreate, which is like a free app on your iPad, courses on journaling. Really anything that has to do with the topics I mentioned before, but really, really very practical. And every class normally has a project as well. And so you can see all the other people's project and you can also upload your own project. So they really want to focus on the practical stuff. And also I found that, it's a very good way to very fast learn new skills in a very efficient and fun manner. I also took a course in how to design t-shirts, if that's interesting.
I want one then.
But sometimes it's really random, but things that I think I would not find anywhere else, and that personally from a personal kind of learning perspective are very interesting. So yeah, I would definitely recommend Skillshare. I'm now on the 4th month of classes and I'm really, really enjoying it. So definitely recommend.
So I guess I go next, and it's actually the last app that I'm going to be talking about. So it's called iScanner. And basically what it does is to turn your device into a document scanner. It works with any kind of document, so ID cards, passports, credit cards, any kind of documents printed out on paper, books, even receipts, paper notes, whiteboards, schedules, timetables, whatever you need to scan. Maybe people would think, okay, but I can just take a picture of whatever I want to scan, right? But if you have tried, you know that taking a picture is not really the same thing as scanning at all, for many reasons. So first of all, because there's kind of always a perspective to your picture, so wherever you put your document, your paper, what you want to scan, when you take the picture, you are not attached, right, to the document, so it means that there is some kind of perspective. And for really specific, for example, websites that want a standard scanning, let's say, this is not acceptable. Moreover, again, if you have to upload some documents and you are there with your phone, you might be unable to easily turn a picture that is like a JPEG format into a PDF, and a lot of websites want a PDF. Actually, again, I have a story behind how I discovered this app, and it's really recent. So it's the last of the list of apps that I've discovered, and I've been using it a lot when I moved here to London because I had so many documents to upload for my company, for the UK's government, just, checks of any kind. And so I really needed something that would make my documents look professional and look like they were actually scanned. Then, of course, because of a few features of the app that I will talk about later, using it makes it completely acceptable. So even if it's a scan, like we scan through the phone, it's not that it doesn't have the same acceptability, let's say, in terms of quality than if we printed whatever document out and then we scanned it and then we sent it. So, like, some of the features that make this way of scanning anything that you want efficient are, for example, the automatic detection of the document edges and perspective. So as soon as you take the picture, let's say, with your phone via the app, it automatically sees where are the edges of whatever document that you are looking at, and it flattens the perspective. So whatever perspective it is, it's exactly as if you had scanned it with a physical device. So there is no perspective anymore. Then there's quite sure there is some machine learning within it. So what happens is that the quality of the image is automatically improved. So for example, like if you have light issues, if the picture is a little blurry or anything like that, it is automatically processed via an advanced image processing that corrects all these kind of things, enhances the color, reduces the noise, or removes it completely. Also, you can do multi-page scanning, which seems like a stupid thing, but it's not. So, like, for example, if you were ever asked to upload a document with, let's say, your passport and your driver license, for example, and they want both of these pictures to be in the same document, then if you take two pictures, how do you put them together? I mean, of course, there are ways to do it. You can, for example, open a Word page and then, copy and paste the different pictures, but it's probably not gonna look really professional, the pictures probably have different colors, etc. But with this app, you can create a document that is made up of different images, and it automatically scales and corrects the colors so that all the images look like they belong to the same environment, let's say. Okay, so there are not huge differences between the light or the color of the different images that you have within the same document. Another really cool thing is that you can protect your document. So you can encrypt the document with a password. And this is something that I never really thought about because, like, majority of times I was sending documents to either, friends, or I just wanted to have a picture of my passport in case I needed it. But what happened here is that my company asked me to send over some documents, but to encrypt them with the password for, of course, security purposes. And so I'm quite sure there are some other ways to do it, but with this app is really, really straightforward. So you create your document and you basically just press like encrypt with password. You decide what the password is. And the cool thing is that I tested it a little bit. So what I did is I sent it a few times. So I sent it to one of my emails. Then from my email, I sent it to another email. And then I put it on Drive. I shuffled the document around a few times between my different emails and also uploading it somewhere else. And the password protection was never lost. So it makes it really, really safe if you want to share something that you want to make sure that only the people to which you give the password can open it. So it's really, really cool. And of course, you can also digitally sign the document. It's quite straightforward, but let's say it's a really good bundle of things that you usually need when you are working with documents.
One thing I would say also is that this whole thing is really permitted by the fact that we have phones with amazing cameras that probably can really reach the same level of quality of a scan. It's so handy. I would definitely recommend it to every parent that thinks that scanning has to become like a huge chore. I actually remember in the past when we had to scan a document, it would literally take like half an hour. The scanner would have to warm up and then do the first scan. Then you would have to like maybe modify the colors. Then if you weren't happy, you have to do it again. Like, it was a huge task, whereas now it makes it so easy and you can just do it with your phone anywhere you are. So yeah, this app is, I think, revolutionary and really life-changing.
Yeah, it's really cool. And so again, there might be other apps that do some or all of the things that this one does, but I also liked it. So I always try to see the behind the scenes of the apps, you know, like I choose them because I need them, but also sometimes because I like the team that created it, or like the community that they build. And in this case, what I liked about it is that I had the necessity to scan all of these things in such a short amount of time, and I needed to encrypt them as well. So I was thinking maybe that I had to do to a physical shop to do it, but of course we are during COVID, so I probably wouldn't have found anyone that was able to do it by when I needed it to be done. And so I was like freaking out, how do I do it? And then I look at the few different apps. This one seemed to have all of these cool features, and actually turns out that originally some of these features are for pro users, so you actually have to pay for them. But because we are living an unprecedented period of crisis, they decided that all the features are free now. So
wow, that's so cool.
Yeah. So, and I think it was also due to the fact that, you know, like, well, usually you can go to a shop and have it done, but now, like, you couldn't, so you have no option. And so I guess if you are behind such a company that offers something that usually you can do it in person, or you have many more options to do this thing, and then all of a sudden you become like one of the few options to do it, you can either kind of like rip the money out of people who really need it. You know? Rip people off. Exactly, rip people off and be like, okay, you know what, like, you need it, and now you have even less options.
Zero features free.
Exactly. Or you can do it the other way around. So, like, you know, I understand, I acknowledge that you are having difficulties, so you know what, I would also give up the margin or the profit that I have due to the pro features, and you can just use it because you need it and you don't have any other options. And so I really loved it, and probably when they will have the pro features back to be paid for, I think like what they did now might actually prove that there are great people behind the company. So if you want to pay for these features, you're a lot more likely to pay them than to pay another app that you don't know that they did this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, I guess it's also a strategy. I don't want to take out like the social part of it, which I think is amazing, but you know, once you've tried it and you like it, you would be more likely to pay for it than if you had never seen it, never tried it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why also they give us free samples for things. It's exactly the same. Yeah, it's exactly the same strategy, and I think it makes a lot of sense. It reduces the barrier for like skepticism and not wanting to try something different. Our tendency to be more, habit-oriented people, and it really breaches that barrier. And then once you've tried it and you see the value, then why not pay for it? So it makes a lot of sense. I really think it was a great move, and definitely something that is a win-win for both.
It was, though, also quite a courageous move because the app was created by a group. It's called BP Mobile, and they have other apps. So I think they have a total of 36 apps that they invented throughout the years. This single app that we are talking about now, the Scanner app, is the number one for revenue. So alone, so they have a total of 5 million revenue for the apps that they have, and just this one out of the 36 is 2 million. So, you know, like, it's almost half of the revenue that they have are coming from a single app, and it's the one that they decided to put for free completely. So, I mean, for sure there's some marketing and advertising reasons behind it, but it was also quite a courageous move. So I hope that, as you said, by people trying it and liking it, they will be paid back for this move that they made.
This was an amazing roundup of apps and founder stories and just things that can really make our life easier. I think any of those things, either you learn something new or you make a task that used to be boring and difficult much quicker and more smooth. So yeah, I'd be curious to know from our audience, what are your favorite apps and what apps have really made an impact in your life and has improved it for the better?
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know. We might have another discussion like this where instead of talking about our favorite apps, we will read out some of your favorite apps, and I think it's gonna be quite cool to hear from you guys.
Absolutely. So bye everyone, this is the end of our episode, and don't forget to subscribe to our channels. You can find us on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, or your favorite podcasting platforms. We'll find you there to join the conversation, and we'll see you in the next episode.
As always, all of the information that we talked about are going to be in the description of this episode. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye.